Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at assignment 2. So assignment 2 is entitled Every Customer Counts. Okay, you can see it there. There we go. The hand-in date is 25th of the 11th 2020. Never to be repeated, the last time this will be running. So we have a simple scenario that you are basically working for a consumer magazine, and as part of a sort of advertising drive and getting your details out there, you're basically going to write a newspaper article for this consumer magazine explaining what internet marketing is and the benefits to both customers and for businesses. Okay, so task 1 is to do with P3. So if you look up P3, you can see what you're required to do. You'll see in a minute anyway. You can see what task P3 is. So you've been asked to contribute towards a magazine, as I said already, by writing an article about the benefits of internet marketing for both customers and for businesses. Okay, the article is to be used as an advert to make full use of the internet marketing. To make full use of internet marketing, and will need to be shared with as many contacts as possible, embedded within the consumer magazine website. So you're going to be using this, as say, for advertising. The idea is that you can refer your customers to this actual article, so they can see that you're bona fide. They can see that you're a genuine sort of company and what have you. You'll be required to produce a first draft of the article to be shared around colleagues prior to completing the article. Okay, so task 1 is asking you to produce a first draft, and task 2 is then asking you to complete the article by putting a conclusion to it, which is the merit task you'll see in a minute. Okay, so let's go through some of the details. So you can provide the basic article in any format you like. Now, my preference would be for you really just to concentrate on the actual words and not worry too much about the layout. If you are happy to, and if you don't think you're going to spend too much time doing it, you can lay it out in like a 3-column layout, which articles tend to use in magazines. You can put some images in, and any images I see, I will assume are obviously stock images downloaded from the internet, not your own work. So there will be no copyright sort of issues concerning about that. But basically, if you give me it in a flat file sort of format, just as a piece of text, that's absolutely fine. If you give me a typeset, it looks pretty, it looks lovely as a magazine article, that would be even better to look at, but you probably won't get any extra marks for it. That's important to realise. So it depends on how you want to divide your time up. You should explain the principles and benefits of internet marketing to customers. So you're going to give a quick introduction to internet marketing to customers. Yeah. So your customers are basically going to be businesses, but also their customers. Give examples using contrasting businesses. So talk about internet marketing with different businesses. In class we've talked about internet marketing quite a lot to do with Apple and companies like that. Look at that type of setting and explain your views if you like. So 3 strands. So basically we've already looked at P1 and P2. That was the assignment 1. Okay, so the assignment 1 is that bit, which is the first strand, and the third strand is basically looking at benefits to customers and for businesses. So that's what we're looking at here. Okay, so they come together in M1. So in a minute we're going to look at M1. Okay, so this will involve a greater depth of understanding of internet marketing. So you need to do a little bit more research on internet marketing. You need to think a bit more of not particularly what internet marketing is, but what benefits it brings. Okay, you need to look at things like, for example, dynamic pricing. It's quite an important thing which only internet marketing can bring. Let's look at some of the benefits, and these are suggested benefits you might want to talk about. So you don't have to talk about every one of these. I would suggest you talk about the majority of them, if not all of them now. Okay, so you want to talk about the opportunities to compare and select providers. So we've looked at examples where people are actually using internet marketing for car insurance, and they'll be able to use, these online comparison sites for comparing different companies. Okay, so increasing bargaining power. Again, you can actually become part of a collective of people who actually buy their energy, their gas, electricity centrally from one company as a group, therefore getting a larger discount. Okay, availability of more competitive and up-to-date product information. So people, when you look at a brochure or something like that, you're really not looking at very old, outdated information in some regards. Whereas with internet marketing, you're getting the very latest information, and it can be changed quite quickly if there was any issues, if there was any benefits, any additional information whatsoever. It could be updated onto the website there and then people from then on get the latest information. So opportunities for lower cost via dynamic pricing. So this is quite an important one. You're looking at, for example, we looked at, say, EasyJet, where the prices you pay, same with Ryanair and a lot of easy budget airlines, the price you pay for somebody who's buying a ticket for quite a period beforehand is a lot cheaper than the person who buys the ticket for the next day or even the next week. So dynamic pricing can come into its own. eBay has the same sort of situation where you are paying different prices. You bid on an item, you start at the lowest price. The difference with eBay, of course, is that there's only one product, or even if there's a small number of products, they all get sold at the same price. Whereas EasyJet and Ryanair, there's many facets of pricing depending on who's bought at what time. So each person practically on the flight will pretty well have paid a different price for the same flight. So greater supply convenience through availability of responsive transaction facilities. Okay, so again, we're looking at examples of that will be airline ticketing and what have you. So greater supply convenience. So basically, instead of having to go somewhere and buy something and receive a piece of paper, you can get this through the email or through the website. You can get, you can use your phone as you can get a code, and when you're going to check out, you can basically, or check in, you can basically use that code rather than having to rely on a piece of paper arriving through the post or going to a travel agent, that sort of thing. So a huge part of internet marketing is it allows, possibly for the first time ever, the opportunity of consumers to sell to other consumers, completely removing any need for businesses to be involved other than the platform in which you're selling. So an example of this is probably eBay, where you can sell things which you've already purchased, which are possibly second hand, and you can sell them to other people. And it's a great way of selling things, obviously, which have a particular value to certain catchments, to certain people. So there's lots of collectible items, for example, which are sold for a lot of money on eBay, but if they were sold generally to the general public, most people wouldn't appreciate or even have a clue of the true value of that particular item. So it allows people to actually sell to a very small catchment, almost uniquely, whereas otherwise it would have been impossible to find somebody for that particular item. And of course, this is something where you can sell worldwide. You can decide when you're selling with companies like eBay, or platforms as we generally call them. So platforms like eBay, they will allow you to decide how far you wish to sell. Obviously, the further you sell, like international, it's going to increase the cost, but the buyer pays for that cost, and if the value is worthwhile, it's worthwhile. That wouldn't be a major hurdle. So we're going to have a look at the magazine article itself, basically being in Word format, as I say from earlier. It doesn't give you any extra points if you go to the trouble of typesetting and making it look pretty, laying it out as a magazine article, so don't get too worried about that. So P3 is all about explain the benefits to customers of a business using internet marketing. So it's explain the benefits to customers of a business using internet marketing. So that's the tack we're looking at for the whole of that. Whereas for M1, the key word is analyze. That's the command verb we're looking at, to analyze. And you're analyzing something which has already been stated, in this case, internet marketing. So this is the BTEC official definition of command verbs. And if you read that quickly, you'll find the definition there is not particularly a friendly definition, I must be quite honest. Okay, so I'll give you a second to read that. And then I've actually got an alternative definition you might find more useful. So here's an alternative for analyze, which is to identify several relevant factors, show how they are linked, and explain the importance of each. So if we're doing a conclusion, you might wish to point out a couple of individual factors from the main body of the text and expand that into a conclusion. So generally, writing a conclusion, you want to emphasize those key points you wish to raise forward. So that's why it's analyze. So you're going to add a conclusion to your article. We're going to analyze the benefits of internet marketing to customers, and you're going to look at the feedback provided by your colleagues. So imagine there was some feedback. You could simulate the feedback by giving it to others within the group and just asking them to give you some verbal but written down feedback. Verbal in the sense that they can talk you through it, but make notes and use that if required as evidence that you've actually received feedback. Okay, it's essential that you analyze the following benefits. So here's your benefits. Internet marketing gives you that opportunity to be able to compare and to be able to select providers. So you think again of the online comparison you might get from buying services such as car insurance, etc. So increased bargaining power, such as the example we gave earlier of a number of individuals working together to get a reduced cost for their energy provider. Obviously all this is based through the internet, so you're providing customers with more up-to-date information than, for example, brochures could provide. And you very often come across brochures where things have been changed, but you put little stickies over parts of the brochure to rectify or to fix errors which may be misleading. With websites and with internet marketing, instantaneous changes can be made to that information, which can allow changes to be more accurate and the information provided to be up to date. A big area to talk about is probably going to be dynamic pricing, which again would have been impossible in days before internet marketing. And new ways of being able to provide customers with services. So when you're getting a flight, years ago you'd have to go and get ticketing from a travel agent. Now you don't need to. You could just simply use your phone. You can use some sort of QR code reference when you check in, and then it would simply take you through the process. And of course the online element of internet marketing carries on after sales. So customer services and after sales support is really important, and it's satisfying your customers. We were looking at just when you're writing your article for the first task. For the conclusion, you might want to decide that one of the really big important features of internet marketing is that customers can sell to other customers, that they can actually directly make things themselves. There are individuals who make products, it might be in the craft, it might be in services, it might be professional services, it might be in anything, but they can sell direct to other customers. Because there's no middleman and there's no companies involved, the costs are therefore substantially reduced. So you can get a lot of good quality products sent direct from the manufacturer or from a particular consumer selling to another consumer that they can actually use directly, and they are therefore being able to cut out a large amount of distribution, a large amount of profit taking, which otherwise would go to the middleman. I provided you with a good article already, which basically is doing the same job you're being asked to do. So you can follow that link, that's already on Google Classroom. So have a look at that article, see how they've produced their article. But they've produced it obviously for the web from day one. We're looking at producing an article for a magazine, a consumer magazine. The deadline to 25th of November, so that's the next time I see you guys on the next Wednesday. So we will have that opportunity that Wednesday morning, to go through any one-to-one. I wouldn't leave it till then. Any sort of questions, problems, thoughts, even things which you think might be useful to share with the rest of the group, by all means send to me, and I'll certainly respond as quickly as I can.